There is nothing, I can tell you, nothing quite so terrifying as the sound of a rattly window cleaner ladder going up against your house when you're stark naked.
I know, I can imagine.
It's quite terrifying. But anyway.
You've given me an idea I could do with a window cleaner. Thanks for that one.
Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show. All right, so how's your week been then?
It's been very, very busy. I had the temerity to have a few days off last week. Two clients asked could they have emergency consultations, and I squeezed them in. And I did 4 or 5 pep talks for my project update team, which I'll tell you about in a minute.
Yeah.
And I did that thing that on Sunday night, I had to do that thing that you talked about in the podcast, I don't know, maybe a month or 6 weeks ago. When I looked at my week this week, I couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
And so, because it was so busy, so I had to take out of it all of the things that I do every day that I had reminders into myself to do, if that makes sense. Do you remember you said you did that? You do them anyway. Why are they in your diary? They just make it look crowded and scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought that day would come, and how bizarre. It came about a month after you did it. And so what I do now is I've got a little heart-shaped sticker on my sort of daily journal, and I write a little list of those on there. I don't think I would forget them anymore. I don't know why I worry about forgetting things. But anyway, I've done them all every day without them being in my diary. There's this little stick here. So I've got a bit manual. I've got a bit retro, Nicola.
Stickies on your journal. Very nice.
Yeah. What about your week?
Well, my quest for efficiency continues, Judith. And so when I was standing in the shower today, and I heard a window cleaner arrive outside said bathroom window on its rattly old ladder, I thought, because it was funny, I was only last week, I was looking at the windows thinking, God, they're going to be grubby. When's that window cleaner coming? And there he was, outside the bathroom window with me in the shower. Luckily, I had pulled the blind most of the way down on this occasion. I don't always. And but I spent the next quarter of an hour dodging around the house, pulling blinds up and down as I tried to get ready as he worked his way around my house cleaning my windows. And there is nothing, I can tell you, nothing quite so terrifying as the sound of a rattly window cleaner ladder going up against your house when you're stark naked.
I know, I can imagine.
It's quite terrifying. But anyway,
you've given me an idea I could do with a window cleaner. Thanks for that one.
Well, and the good thing about the efficiency quest is that I'm keeping a little bit of cash in the house all the time. Do you remember one of my things that stressed me out was he'd always turn up when I had no cash in the house?
Yeah, you've got a system for the window cleaner. Look at you.
I know. And then he was just sitting in his little van outside when I opened the door, and I could see he was writing me a bill because he's got a system for, if you're not in. Because he didn't think I was in because all the blinds were down, obviously.
Yeah.
And so he was sitting in his van writing this little bill, and I popped up and waved 20 quid at him. He was extremely impressed, as was I with myself. But apart from that, it's been a great, fun week. I've had a lot of fun. One of my clients, who is a very well-known household name in the coaching world, we're having an amazing success with her Facebook campaign. We're getting her leads and registrations to a webinar for about £2.50, which is unheard of. But she then popped up last week and announced that she'd like to join in this affiliate competition for a woman who you may well know, Judith, the Wealth Chef.
I do,
Yeah.
and something.
Anne Wilson, yes.
That's it, yes.
She's doing a big promotion at the moment, and my client announced that she'd quite like to be at the top of the leaderboard every day if possible.
Ooh, okay.
So I said, okay, well that's no problem. We can put together a campaign for you where we drive people to a page where, because I don't think we'll be able to get Anne's copy passed because it's all about wealth creation and passive income. So we'll drive people to an opt-in page where you can do a little personal video, which she recorded in nanoseconds, being a complete video pro. And then we'll get them to opt in there, and then they'll click through to the thank you page, which will enable me to check which ads are working for you. Then on the thank you page, there'll be a link to go and get Anne's free gifts. So we're having a 60% conversion of people who opt in and then click through to Anne's thing and then opt in at Anne's thing, because my client was worried that 2 opt-ins would be too much. I said, look, if they want the free gifts, they'll do the opt-ins. They'll be fine. So she's now top of the leaderboard day 1, top of the leaderboard day 2, most opt-ins over the whole promotion so far, and absolutely thrilled. She's in profit from the prizes alone, let alone the commission she's going to earn when people start buying the offer.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so that's really got me going. It's been really good fun, and every day my client reports back and says number 1 again, which is quite funny, really. But yeah, so a friend of mine is now starting a promotion, an opt-in promotion. So I'm doing the same sort of strategy to see if I can get get on the leaderboard for opt-ins for his promotion. So we'll see how that works. Yes, I mean, it's all been fun this week.
Yes, very good. Fun. Excellent.
What's fueled your fire then?
I'm going to tell you later in Who or What's Impressed about 2 people that have impressed me this week, but it's those people that have given rise to what's fueled my fire. Can-do businesses.
Oh, okay.
No need to bend over backwards for our clients, obviously, but do plan to be helpful, useful, and responsive is what I've written here. So, when you call up somebody and say, can you do X? And they go, yes, we can. It just doesn't really happen much anymore. Do you know what I mean? When you call companies and go, can you do that? No, they can't. They can't. But this week I've stumbled across quite a number of people who can do stuff, and I like that. I think I'm a can-do person myself. If somebody says, can you do X? Mostly I would say yes if I wanted to. If I didn't want to, I'd say no. But, it reminds me that you don't need to be, grovelling or creepy or subservient. But, it's a joy. I could see the first one that came into my life on Friday. I haven't met the second one yet. I could see it was an absolute joy to be of service and to be useful and to take problems off people's shoulders. So can-do businesses are fueling my fire.
Well, I've got a couple of things to say about this, because this is what happened with my client. She popped up on Thursday afternoon and said, is there any chance you could get me to the top of this leaderboard? And I said, yes, can do, and it'll cost you X. And she said, send me an invoice, I'll pay it immediately, and let's have some fun. So,
good. I mean, isn't that just a dream?
Yeah, and the best thing was that I knew I was going to have to work evening and a bit of my weekend, and I named my price, which would made it, acceptable for me to do that, and she paid immediately. And then, did you watch Denise Duffield-Thomas's video? Hilarious video. It's on my personal timeline. It's called How We Sell Men versus Women.
No, I didn't.
You've got to watch it, Judith. You'll be crying with laughter by the end of it.
What's the gist of it?
Well, the gist of it is she demonstrates how men sell, which is I don't want to spoil the video because it really is, in fact we'll embed it in the show notes, shall we? Because it is just funny, the funniest thing. She says at the beginning, a man will say, "I've got this thing. This thing is great. This thing costs this much. Do you want it?" And another person will say yes or no. And the man will say, well, here it is then, or take it away. And then she does 10 minutes on how women would do that. And it's not derogatory or patronising in any way. It's very, very kind and funny, and it's very illuminating and eye-opening. So I really want people to go and watch it. It's just brilliant.
Interesting. That's the same topic covered by Simon Sinek in that video where I invited people to talk about their big why. He describes how people sell in that old-fashioned way that you described at the beginning, and how Apple, for instance, sell now.
Yeah, it is a fascinating topic completely, and Yeah, and I think if anyone I particularly thought of your client base and audience because a lot of them are women, a lot of them creative, a lot of them work from home, and it's not as cut and thrust as the internet marketing world.
And they're actually creeped out by the way men sell, actually, as well, myself included. Yeah. So could we go to, I want to talk about what's fueled your fire.
Well, Periscope, of course. I've been absolutely obsessed with it. Of course,
yeah.
I mean, my God, there are so many fascinating things going on Periscope. I watched, I'm really hooked by this guy called Derek Cowan, Cowan. Go and look him up on Periscope. He's brilliant. He's motorbiking through Vietnam. And he stops and he shares with you. He videos from live video streams from his motorbike for a start, so you feel like you're travelling with him. He then stops at little street markets and has dinner, and he films the most gorgeous, gorgeous scenery. If you love amazing pictures of beautiful places, then go and follow him on Instagram as well. And it just makes you really want to. I mean, the Vietnam Tourist Association should be paying him. It just opens your eyes to how incredibly beautiful other countries are. You know, if you think Vietnam, you think napalm, you think poverty, you think, all sorts of negative things. But just watching him motorbiking through Vietnam is making me A, want to go travelling, and B, specifically want to go to Vietnam. It's awesome.
I think I remember the three chaps on Top Gear saying that Vietnam was the most beautiful place they'd ever been to.
Yeah, and now he's running a poll. I mean, if you want an example of how to do Periscope well, he's one example, and he's running a poll now. Where do you want him to go to next? So we're all voting for where we'd like to see. It's like being on the shoulder of someone who's travelling around. It's absolutely amazing. And the other person who's doing Periscope really well is Dan Norris, who wrote the 7-Day Startup. He's periscoping very naturally from his beach house, but he's doing things like live critiques of people's websites. He's doing 17 ways you can engage with influencers on Periscope. He's sharing really great content in a really fun, natural way, and he manages to keep his thread of conversation while simultaneously answering the questions. Paul Fugel started periscoping, obviously at the behest of Sarah, who's staying there at the moment. But he's a natural as well. He's doing really well at it, and it was lovely to connect with him. Me and Minesh have been heckling him from behind our Periscope screens.
And have these people, Dan Norris, Derek Cowan and Paul Fugel, managed to achieve a better visual than we did when we did ours?
Yes, it's all about the light.
Or is it grainy?
It's all about the light, Judith. Yeah, you've got to have strong light on you, or on whatever you're filming. The Vietnam one is superb quality. A word from our sponsors. This podcast is sponsored by clicksandleads.com. Clicksandleads.com believe in affordable traffic and leads for everyone. They'll set up your Facebook ad campaign, page likes, leads or remarketing, then they'll manage it for you. They'll even split test your ads and audiences to find the best performing ones. Game-changing marketing from clicksandleads.com.
So, client challenge of the week.
Go on then.
It's one that you brought up a couple of weeks ago, and I wrote it down and I've saved it. It's about, the word is multiples, but actually what we were going to talk about was how to build a business for sale. So growing a business for sale, business models that would sell. I've got a few notes that I've written here. I've got, the different ways in which the different elements of your business that a potential purchaser might be interested. You have to have records that demonstrate strength and recurrence of income and the growth in an upward trend, that you're not a fly-by-night. You would want most of your clients on contracts and or a recurring revenue and or repeat business, or automatic customers as the automatic customer book, or you might be selling your profits. We would need to look at things like churn. Stats actually is what we need here. We need information and stats for other people to be able to make their own assessment of what your business is worth to them and to be able to pitch to you a price accordingly, which of course you are under no obligation to accept.
I've got a good story and a resource here for you. When I first got listening to Rich Sheffrin back in 2006, one of the interviews he did was with a couple of very lively characters called Frank Kern and Ed Dale, who've gone on to become household names in the internet marketing world anyway. And they were.
Could we just have a small moment to pause in lust for Frank Kern?
Well, until he cut all his hair off and started wearing a suit, yeah, the surfer dude was much more attractive. And Ed Dale's a cutie as well. I do watch everything Frank does, I must confess, still.
There you go.
He's coming to London soon, or he's just been to London. But
I think he's just been to London, yes. He was at something fest last week. Yeah.
I know. Infusion, yeah, was it Infusion? Yes, it was Infusion something. But anyway, getting back on the topic, they were teaching people how to do something they call the underachievers method, which was to think of a niche, do the research around the niche, put up a little page using Ask database, and ask people what's the one question. Do you remember I had the guinea pig whisperer page?
I do, and also Guy Levine used to teach us how to do this, didn't he?
Yeah, well, that was the underachiever method as pioneered by Frank and Ed. And then they sold, I remember being in, I remember exactly where I was. I was in the Yannick Silver's underground seminar when they broke the news that Frank and Ed had just sold their mini publishing empire, and that opened my eyes as to what we were doing here. To a British publishing company who owned a lot of niche magazines, because they had something like 48 niche sites that were feeding leads and selling ebooks to hobbyists of varying kinds. And they sold for something ridiculous. It was like 4 to 5 times profits. But the funny bit was that when these people came to do their due diligence, they had to hire an office, hire staff, put staff in the office, and look like, because they had all the records of the money that they'd earned and everything. That wasn't an issue. But the issue was that this publishing company couldn't believe that this entire empire, turning over, well in excess of $1 million, was run from home. So they had to beef it up with secretaries and things, which was hilarious. And the resource I'd like to share is Rich Dad's Guide to Investment, which is, along with Automatic Customer, probably a must-read on this one, because the first third of the book, in fact, the first 2/3 of the book is very dull indeed. It talks about the different levels of investor. But the last third is all about what someone would look for if they were looking to invest in or buy your business, and it sets it out very clearly.
Yeah, very good.
The other one is really good, is MJ DeMarco's Millionaire Fastlane, which I read on my disastrous trip to Malta, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you recommended that one to us before, I think.
Yeah.
I remember in the Money Gym we used to debate this quite often, and actually it relates to Rich Dad's cash flow game, which I play with people down the garden shed as well, which is, why would anybody want to build a business? Let's try and dream up the different reasons. Why would anybody want to build a business that was quite young? Let's say Frank and Ed. It was quite a young business, and it's making money, and it's got a recurring revenue, and you've sort of done the job. Why would you sell that?
Because they're going to pay you many times. Well, they're going to pay you anything from 1 to 3 times the multiple, or even up to 10 or 20 times the multiple in the internet marketing world of your profit. So you're going to get a big chunk of cash, which will enable you to go off and do something else, or just travel around the world and live on the income.
Yes, absolutely. So 1 is for the money. 2, I think, is for the chance to do something else. 3 is probably for the chance to do it right next time, based on what you've learned doing it this time.
Yeah.
4 could be a simpler life altogether, early retirement, job done. In my experience, most people don't do it like that, i.e. Sell it to do nothing, because high achievers don't really do nothing, do they?
No, entrepreneurs can't help themselves.
Yeah, sometimes it's to sell it to get the money to buy a bigger one. So in the cash flow game, we start off with smallish things and we sell them, we make a capital gain in order to do bigger things.
Yeah, because if you've got a pot of cash, I mean, the thing that really terrifies me about that, though, is you build your business, you go through all the thing about selling it, which is not an easy process, I imagine, and then the government takes 50% of it. That is just heartbreaking, isn't it?
Well, I bet Frank and Ed had theirs set up in Nevada.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, good point. So is there a way to legally, is it like property, where if you reinvest some of your profits in a new business, you get some sort of tax relief for
rollover relief can excuse me, can be, yes. The rules change for this sort of thing all of the time. In the budget, they sometimes introduce incentives for things like this to happen. If you are building a business for sale, you definitely want to take some advice at the point where it looks like that might actually happen. I think, obviously our readers are all over the world, and in many other countries in the world, the government don't take 50%. Really? In fact, in England, I think we're down to 40% at the moment. But, how you structure the sale, it usually involves lawyers and solicitors, which is all about the best tax treatment for both purchaser and seller.
Well, I had a conversation with my future brother-in-law and about clicks and leads, because I knew that one day I'd want to sell it and I wanted to set it up right from the beginning. And I've got to say, he saved me, just for the advice he gave me that day, he saved me about £7,000 tax already. Italy, which is, astonishing. Yes. Like a rock star accountant in my eyes.
Well, that's what accountants live for, is to save you tax.
Yeah, and his fee, whatever it is, because I haven't had it yet, is going to look paltry compared. I hope he doesn't listen to this, but it's going to look paltry compared with what he saved me already. But I wanted to set it up right because I knew I would want to sell it one day.
Yeah.
And you're right, you've got to get the advice at the point well in advance. So you don't know what your exit's going to be from your business, isn't it?
Well, in this case, yes. And I think there might be more than one. I don't think you know. And I think, markets move all of the time. And I think you've got to pick your time to sell as well.
Do you know my cement specialist client, the global cement expert?
I think I vaguely do. Yes.
Oh, he's lovely. He's such a lovely man. Nick, he's probably listening to this right now. Hello, Nick. He's just had an offer to buy his cement website.
Well, there you go.
You'd never have thought it, would you?
Well, we wouldn't, no. But I'm not really surprised by how many people there are in the world who are interested in strange things. And I'm sure cement doesn't seem in the least bit strange to your client, does it?
No, he's an expert in it. Cement and concrete.
And indeed other cement freaks.
Well, yes, exactly. And he has got, he sells 2 ebooks from the site and he gets monster amounts of traffic. And, he's constantly working to improve his conversions and monetize the rest of the traffic, a lot of which comes from academia, students in college looking for free information about cement.
Yes.
So you can, that is a brilliant example. You can build a website, and it was just an authority site for a long time. He wasn't selling anything. He was just sharing his knowledge. And then you can turn it into, he never thought he could turn his knowledge into digital products, but he did. And then now someone's offering to buy the site. So that's a real live working example, isn't it?
I really like the way he did it as well, because actually too many of my clients want to go straight to stage 2. He did stage 1, which is become an authority site first.
Yeah, and he's still on Site Build It. Do you remember Site Build It back from the late 1990s?
Oh, I want to ask you a question about things like that in a minute.
Okay.
Let me to note to myself.
He's using lead pages as his opt-in pages and thank you pages and sales pages, but the actual authority part of the site is on Site Build It, which is very SEO friendly apparently.
Okay.
I knew about it in 98, 99, but I couldn't figure out how to use it because it was too damn complicated.
So, Nicola, since you're in love at the moment with clicks and leads, you are thinking that one day you might want to sell it, are you?
Yes, I knew from the very beginning that I was going to build that business in a way. It was like the Acacia, I knew from the beginning that I wouldn't want to do it forever.
Yeah.
But I wanted to build it in such a way that someone might be able to sell it. Obviously that was the wrong industry because, much as everyone dreams about running a bed and breakfast boutique hotel, when it comes to it, you haven't got actually many people banging your door down, waving their wallets at you. But if you can build a business that entirely is run by virtually, that has an automatic flow of customers and a set system that other people can follow, even, it's like systemizing it like the E-Myth, and it doesn't take particularly skilled people to do the work if they've got a good training program, then, I've known always that I will sell it one day.
It's quite hard to sell one's baby. Sometimes one's business feels like one's baby.
I'd sell any of mine in a nanosecond.
Would you? Oh, that's interesting. What, your babies or your businesses or both?
No, there's no selling those two. They won't go, even if I did sell them. Oh, my God. Yes. No, I'm very unemotional about businesses now. I was very emotional about the money gym, and I got over that, didn't I? So I think I'm getting over it now.
I think just one point I'd like to make on this topic before we move on, which is, anybody listening at home who's just started up being self-employed and doesn't really think of themselves as building a business for sale or why they would or whatever it is. I think that our advice, being a bit long in the tooth and having done this at least once each, is that, if you set up your business wrong and you're working from home and exchanging time for money, if you do it wrong, it's exhausting and knackering and you fall out of love with it quite quickly. And I think that's the sort of business that you think, oh, I wish I'd understood this concept, that it might be something that is separate from me and that I might want to sell one day. So in my example, an accountancy business, you have repeat business year after year after year. You have a percentage of churn, but you have new ones coming in to cover it. And I've been running it for 20 years, so it was easy for somebody to do due diligence on that. And his goal in buying it was just to bolt on a massive chunk of turnover that he didn't have to spend his life building up.
Yeah, that's such an important point, because I never forget the moment I went to one of my accountant seminars, and they were talking on the from the front of the room about selling a business and what an investor would look for if they were buying it or investing in it. And I remember thinking, well, why didn't he tell me that? Why didn't he tell me all this? But then he didn't know what I didn't know. And it was a real eye-opener. The scales fell from my eyes completely about why I'd never succeeded in any of my previous businesses. I mean, when I was making waistcoats out of old curtains for a local boutique, I could have got little old ladies doing the sewing, and I could have been out sourcing the fabrics and doing the selling to other shops and doing all the fun bits. Instead of which, me and my sister were in there bagging out waistcoats and doing, highly intricate pockets. And I just think I just didn't grasp the difference between being freelance and running a business. And it's so much more fun running a business because you get to find other people to do the bits you don't like.
Well, it's fun for you, and some of my businesses it's fun for me. But I'm imagining that this will split the audience a bit, because if you're a writer or an artist or something like that, you can't sub that out. And actually, what it requires. I know that you're in love with business, and certainly I've been in love with business in the past. But I think that it requires quite good managing skills, and they're quite dull for an entrepreneur. So what's interesting is that the businesses that I've started and sold have been acquired by and are run by managers.
Yeah.
Whereas an entrepreneur likes to start something and have the idea and build it up and then sell it when they get bored with it. So it is a different kind of person that does job number one, and the purchaser is a different animal altogether. They don't want to start something that doesn't excite them.
And there's a couple of things about that. The good managers are 100 to 1 to entrepreneurs. So there is no shortage of people looking to buy an income, no shortage of people who've got, pots of cash where they've
totally
been left something or been made redundant, and they're looking to buy an income. And as an entrepreneur, if 18 months I used to last in jobs. Just imagine if each time I'd started a successful business and sold it on.
There's another thing here as well, which I love very much. When you're selling a business, as long as you pick the right time to sell it, i.e. you haven't fallen out of love with it, you don't hate it, you can't wait to get rid of it, and if any of those apply, you're on a downward curve. The business is not on a rising curve anymore. People can see it's unloved and they don't particularly want it. But the thing about any business that you're selling is the incoming purchaser assumes they're going to be able to do it better than you.
Yeah.
Which is insulting, but it's fabulous in the negotiations, because they're thinking, oh, we could make this so much better. We could build this, we could grow this. And that is a fabulous thing to be able to fuel in them, because it gets them to pay more for it.
Yeah, and I just remembered another fabulous resource for this. Have you ever seen Darren Sherlaw speak?
I actually have had lunch with Darren Sherlaw.
Have you indeed?
I have.
I saw him at the Daniel Priestley Key Person of Influence Day, and one of Daniel's events, I think it was, and I found him absolutely fascinating. He grooms businesses with the business owner for sale, and he says businesses go through cycles, and there are good points to sell and not so good points to sell. Exactly what you're saying there. So go and track Darren Sherlaw down. He's in London. I think it's called Sherlaw's, his firm.
It is. It's called Sherlaw's. Yeah, SHIRLAW.
Lots of lovely free resources on his website, and a very fascinating way of looking at things. Yeah, good stuff. So, we've given them loads of resources this week, haven't we?
I think we have, and I've kept notes of them as I'm now queen of the show notes.
And I think both of us could help people. It's like I've got a graphic design client who's creative and she just wants to do graphic designs. But there is a way to make, my cement client, she's now selling her prints as colouring in pages.
Lovely.
So there's always a way I think, to make money online from your creativity. And
to be more businesslike is what you're saying.
Yeah. And she was trying to sell her prints, and she's now doing my Facebook ads course so she can get more traffic to her website. And she's learning how to use lead pages because the website's never going to convert in a million years, but it works for her creatively. And
Yes.
but she can send her traffic to lead pages, get them to opt in, build a list. So every time she does a new design, she's got an audience to sell it to. And I just feel that creativity. I don't know about you, Judith, but I went to art college and I wasn't awfully good. I loved it, but I wasn't, one of the stars. But I find business deals, creating digital products, writing, it's all very creative, isn't it?
I certainly hadn't realised how creative I was until after I'd sold my accountancy business. I hadn't realised that creating something that wasn't there before, turning it into something big and selling it on to somebody who still runs it 20 years later, like my travel agency, I hadn't realised that how creative I was, because I used to think that creative meant arty.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. Yeah.
Actually, it means creating, bringing into life something that wasn't there before, is what it means.
Ideally, something that's worth some cash.
Well, yes, and I think the thing here is, if people are listening and thinking, I don't want to own and run a business, fine. Have a jolly time being self-employed. And if and when the day comes when that gets a bit, you know who to come to.
But the other thing is, have a jolly time being self-employed, but start to put the systems in place that will support you in not doing the bits you don't enjoy, like receiptbank.com, where you can just take a picture of a receipt, go straight to your bookkeeper who does it all in Xero and produces, I hate all that. I love running my cash flow forecast, but I hate all the admin. So my VA and Ian from up the road does it between them. And they liaise with my future brother-in-law to do all that.
You've got to love with that, haven't you? Ian, who lives up the road.
Yeah, well, I've got someone up the road because I thought I'd have to take my receipts round to him before we found receiptbank.com.
Yes.
Anyway, good client challenge. Nice one. I like that a lot.
No, it was yours, actually. I wrote it down a couple of weeks ago and you said so.
I'm a genius, and you write it down and you remember it, so you're a genius too.
I am. Word of the week. Mine is yes.
Yet. Okay.
No, yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, yes.
It's the recurring theme from the can-do businesses. Can you do this for me? Yes. It's my favourite word.
Yes.
I'm not going to say any more because we rambled on with Client Challenge of the Week. You tell me your word of the week.
Competition.
Oh,
I didn't realise this because I hated sport at school, but I am an extremely competitive person. You throw a challenge down to me and I absolutely cannot resist. And I found that out. I'm having so much fun doing this thing with one of my clients and now with my friend. Get me up early every morning to tweak my strategy and my tactics and things. I just really enjoy it, and I never knew. I suppose that's a poker player coming out in me.
Yes, I think it's interesting. You don't realise until you're thrown into certain situations that you are quite competitive, and it is instilled into us in childhood. And the interesting thing is, it's how business used to run as well, competition. But actually, we moved from competition more to collaboration towards the end of the last, what do you call that, century. And now people are more collaborative in business. But I know when I play games like Trivial Pursuit on Christmas Day with my family, I want to win.
Of course you do. And the other thing, collaboration, that's a nice word too, because I've met, through doing this thing for my client, I've met a really cool JV manager out in Australia, and we've been collaborating to make it possible for my client to do the things she wants to do. So that's a really nice collaboration that's resulting in a win-win.
Yeah.
A win-win.
It's interesting because, my brother was a CEO of a bank, and he went to work in banking in the 70s. And when he's a surprisingly emotionally intelligent man. And I remember him saying to me once, and I knew this already actually, but he was telling it to me like it was new news. You know, when he went to work in the 70s, competition was the name of the game. Your bank had to be better than the next one. But later, 30 years later, when he was coming out of banking, he said, "Oh, business doesn't work like that, Judith, anymore. It's all about collaboration now." As if he was telling me something I didn't know. And it's like, yeah, right. But if bankers know that, I mean, he famously retired from banking before we came to loathe them. And his funny expression is, "Oh, banking was fine when I left it." So the people that came after him are the people who've ruined banking, which is quite funny. But if even in orthodox business, the intel was that, you know, it's collaboration. We're in the era of collaboration, not competition. I think that's fascinating.
Which puts me in mind of that book I'm always trying to remember the name of and never can quite, which is where you do your three-way joint ventures or your two-way joint ventures with other complementary businesses.
Oh, yes. You talked about that before.
In one of our episodes, and it was how to get everything you can out of everything you've got or something, but not quite that. And it's either Dan Kennedy or the other one, whose name I can never remember.
I will see if I can find it, Nicola.
J. Abraham or Dan Kennedy, that's it. I think it's J.
How to get everything you want out of everything you've got. Is that it?
It's J. Abraham, and if you do a search on our website, you'll find it.
Okay.
All right, so on to project reporting now.
Yes, I'm ready. I've still got my launch date of next Tuesday, which is the 14th.
Excitement.
Which means that by the time people hear this on the 17th, we will have launched, but my news for that will be a week later, obviously. Now, this is exciting. It is network marketing, as you know, and I now have 48 members in my team, which means I have people on the 4th level of my 6-level matrix.
Oh my goodness, you're really going for it on this one, aren't you?
Well, interesting. I'm not really going for it. I really went for it at the beginning. Now I'm quite laid back. I'm quite laid back about it. And what I'm watching is, I don't know what that's. I'm watching exponential growth. Having started it off right, I'm watching certain stars in my team do that. So, for instance, one person I've introduced has introduced 6 of her own. I think that's right. No, so one person I introduced a chap who introduced a chap who's introduced a chap. That's how we've gone down to level 4 out of 6. And you'll know that my minimum monthly contribution here is €30. I'm already making a return of that each month on 73 euros. We haven't even launched yet, and that's excluded. That means my playing in this for the rest of my life is already free, whereas it used to be fresh money I brought in every month. And any profits and surprise wins are just going to be bonuses. I mean, rock and roll, Nicola.
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, you know, you're launching next week in a very strong position, aren't you? I mean, there can't be many other people who've done as much as you have in the time.
There are quite a lot of people above me, but because they're all high achievers above me, their overspill, as it calls, just benefits my team. So it's all rather exciting.
Oh, very good. I've got a big announcement, actually. I realised this morning I've cracked my own lead gen. You know, I was struggling to, you know, the whole agonising about, is referral business any good? Why can't I get other...
Before you go there, of course, that's exactly what I've done as well. If you listen to what I just said, I'm making €73 on €30. I've done exactly that. And when I was writing my notes this morning, I thought, oh, I've done a Nicola.
Yes,
I'm getting 73 back for every 30 I spend.
You've created a machine to bring new...
Yay! I have. So we've both cracked the same thing this week. How amazing.
Well, I was never going to give up. And and I watched a Stelly video, you know, Stelly SD. And it was just brilliant. It was him at the Pioneer conference, and it's 2014. He's done 2, 2013, 2014. And funny enough, I spoke to someone else. I think it's Suzanne Jorgensen. You know, she just got back from climbing that mountain in the Himalayas.
Yes.
Well, yes. I mean, awesome woman. I mean, just incredible anyway. And she said she'd watched that 2014 Pioneer presentation by Stelly SD, and she said it just came at the right time. She was feeling a little bit on a come down from the excitement of having climbed the mountain and all that business and what do I do now. And she said she watched that and it just kicked her into touch again, and it just inspired her to get up and get going again. And I absolutely loved it, and it was what made me determined to crack my own lead gen. And this week I've had Andrew from Australia, who has got a property investing education company in Australia, book into my diary, and we've exchanged a few emails. And I've got another lady from Glasgow who does permanent makeup. So she does, for example, people with disfigurement or cancer.
I need her. She tattoos on eyebrows. I could use her. Yeah. Can I just ask you, can you tell us a bit more about when you say you've cracked your lead generation, what do you mean? You've suddenly got the right sort of client booking themselves in? Is that what you're saying, or what?
Yeah, well, I've been aiming my Facebook ads at report downloads, and I've been sending people to the website because I wanted people to see the website. But I've suddenly realised that even though the website is very minimal and there's not many options apart from downloading the report and booking yourself in to talk to me, it might be worth testing sending them to a lead page instead to get the report. And after they've opted in for the report, the next page they end up on is the one where they can book in to talk to me. And it's, instead of having something like a 6% conversion from visitors to report downloads, I'm now getting something like a 30% conversion. So it really does.
Sorry, let me just check what you're saying. What you're saying is your lead page works better than your website. Is that right?
Well, I've always known that lead pages work better than my website, but because my website I was aiming at a more business market. It's very minimal. There's not much else you can do on it apart from opt in for a report or book to talk to me. I thought it would work as well as a lead page. But, again, lead pages has been shown to be much, much more effective. And I don't know why necessarily, because it looks the same as my website. It does the same as my website, but there's no other options apart from to opt in for the report. I think perhaps people get analysis paralysis when they're presented with even 3 options, which is, read the rest of the page, opt in for the report, or talk to me.
Yes.
Whereas the lead page is just opt in for the report, and then they get jumped to the thing where they can talk to me.
Yeah.
So, but the point is that I'm now getting complete strangers booking into my diary from my Facebook ads.
I love complete strangers.
Yes, we both do, don't we?
I love complete strangers because there's if there's 2 words on the planet that prove that your marketing's working, it's complete strangers.
Yeah, absolutely. And from Australia and Scotland too. So it's, from all over the shop.
But let's make it 3 words: global complete strangers.
Global complete strangers. International strangers.
Yes.
But the thing about this is that it's really important in the development of this business, because if I couldn't have generated, I was uncomfortable with the whole relying 100% on referral business, but I was getting more comfortable with it after our talk. And then suddenly pops up global strangers. So,
oh, well, you definitely want both. I wasn't suggesting we want referrals instead. We want both.
Yeah. So I'm feeling very happy and content this week that I can generate good quality leads from my own Facebook ads.
Gorgeous. 2 complete strangers have booked themselves into my diary this week as well, which is extremely nice. And one of them I spoke to yesterday, and I want to talk to you about her conundrum, and I'll do that in a minute. All right, now, who or what's impressed you, Nicola?
Well, back to Stelly Esty, who had a company called, can't remember, but it was for supplying sales services to startups in Silicon Valley. And they realised that their salespeople aren't very good at admin. And they want to be on the phone, they want to be emailing, they want to be building relationships with people. They do not want to be filling in endless bits of data into a sales system. So he created a really simple to use, salesperson friendly bit of software called close.io. And all it does is it tracks your leads who generate it. So, for example, I've got it set up to create a new lead from everyone who downloads a report on my website. And then I go in as they book themselves in to talk to me and upgrade them to an opportunity. So they go from a lead to an opportunity. And you put in how much the opportunity is worth over a year. And that really focuses your attention on follow-up. And the other thing it does rather marvellously is it syncs with your Gmail. So any email you send or receive from that person gets put into this software. So you can see at a glance when you're looking at your opportunities what kind of correspondence or conversations you've had with them. And if you make a phone call, it uses something like Skype. If you make a phone call or receive a phone call from that person, it records the details of that call and actually can record the call as well. And it's all for a paltry something like $57 a month.
And this is called close.io.
Yeah. And it just I could do all this in Infusionsoft, but really it would take me a year to figure out how to put it together. And when I saw this software, I just thought they had me from the first day because it was just so exciting and beautiful looking and easy to use.
Yeah.
Nice. Very nice.
Very good. So I've got two.
Go on then.
It's 3 years since I took the cat to the vet because getting her in the basket caused a scratch up my left arm, which is about 9 inches long.
Ooh.
And it serves me right because it's a two-man job to get the cat in the basket to take her to the vet. And Ben helped me for a couple of years, and then Bianca helped me for a couple of years. And then in 2012, I decided I could do it by myself. Don't be silly, Judith. We can get her in the basket by ourselves. And I damaged myself. In fact, when I went to my sister-in-law's mother's funeral, my brother said, "Oh, my God, what's happened to you? It looked like somebody had attacked me in an alleyway with a knife." Anyway, and all I've wanted for the last however long I've been a cat owner again, since 2008, was a visiting vet. And every year I Google, will a vet come and do this at home so I don't have to catch her and get her in the basket? And guess what the answer is this year? Yes, there is such a thing as a vet who will come. So next week, the vet's going to come on Tuesday, and because it's 3 years, she'll have to have 2 visits. So 90 quid for the first visit to get the injections up to date. And 3 weeks later, she'll come back and boost the injection, 70 quid. Job done, 150 quid. Mitzi and I don't need to leave the house. These are these can-do businesses I was talking about. And people who say, yes, we can do that. But the other one is Danny, the chairman. So I've got one of these Aeron chairs, Herman Miller Aeron chairs, those very comfortable ones that you sit on in hotels in America. Do you know the ones I mean? Black, springy, 700 quid I paid for it in 2004.
This is an office chair, isn't it?
It's an office chair, yeah.
Okay.
And it has a gas lift on it, which ran out of gas last year. The man told me they last a decade. And I've been Googling, who will come and collect my Herman Miller chair and take it away and restore it. Anyway, I found a man called Danny who came last Friday and cut a fantastic deal with me, took it off, and will return it this Friday as new.
Oh, my goodness. You're so good at this, getting people to come and do things for you. It's brilliant.
Well, why would I want to struggle to get an enormous chair in my car to take it somewhere? You just want a man to come round and make it easy. And he did, and he was wonderful. I loved him. And I'm looking forward to the visit from the vet next week, who's called something heroic. I forget what, but I'll tell you, because next week that will have happened.
Well, I think we should put links to both those businesses on the podcast episode, don't you?
I don't think I can do it with Danny the chairman because that was all rather word of mouth and mobile phony, but I certainly can do it with the home visiting vet, although that's in London, so I'm not sure that's relevant. But I did big up the man who introduced me to Danny the chairman on Facebook. That was quite fun. And I'll see if I can find out if the vet company have a Facebook page. They probably do.
Well, the thing is, even if we link to them using the term visiting vet London, it will add to their SEO for their website. So it's worth doing. All right, brilliant. Great episode this week. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself, and I hope that all our listeners, not readers, as you said earlier. So, lovely. Talk to you when, weather's getting a bit cooler now. You'll have to think about coming to Shoreham for your lunch.
Yes, I will. That's true, yes. I need to get past my launch, first of all. Okay. I'm also involved in a second project, which is equally exciting, but I've put that on the back burner for 2 weeks. And I've got the announcement next Monday of whether or not the basement will be excavated, and I've got another legal deadline. So give me 3 weeks, and I'll be down there in August, September, when you're back from Greece.
That'll be very nice. Or I'll look forward to it. Lovely. Okay. Thank you very much. See you soon.
Okay. Bye. Yeah. Bye.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.